Miss Martin Muses. Welcome to Miss Martin Muses, where we talk about what makes me laugh, makes me cry, makes me happy, makes me sad, or just really ticks me off. Well, today we're going to talk about what really ticks me off, or rather just the very nature of being really ticked off, and it is wrath. And welcome to the seven deadly sins. Welcome to the seven deadly sins and Catholic explaining. Prepare yourself. You're about to be Catholic explained by me and an atheist, because we're very open-minded here at Miss Martin Muses, and these are universal, especially wrath. And I'm far more wrathful than my guest tonight, and it is none other the man all the way from the future, and in northern latitude. It is the one, the only. It is Steve Kenobi.
Hello.
Hello. I'm even sounding wrathful. Well, we're going to talk about wrath as opposed to anger, because anger is different from wrath, just so you all know. I had a lot of wrath today, and it was because of some idiot on the internet, and it was my fault. It was my fault. Never look. And guess what I did? I looked. But it's not just those things that can make you wrathful. It can be things that are very justified, and we're going to talk about that. I like the fact that the seven deadly sin is properly called wrath rather than anger, because anger is more of an emotion. Wrath is something else on another different level. And I would like to think actually I wasn't wrathful today, because if I was, it would have been something really horrible, and that's what we're going to get into. Sometimes when people even list the seven deadly sins, they choose not to use wrath. They choose to use anger. I am also very judgmental in pointing the finger of judgment at the catechism, because they use the word anger instead of wrath. It's different. Now, I'm going to put you a little bit on the spot, Stieg. In your language, is there a different word for anger and wrath? Like, do you have different degrees of anger? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And is it in common use or is it uncommon use? I'm just curious.
Fairly common.
Fairly common?
I guess.
Okay. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, because it's not too often that we use the word wrath in English, and we should. Yeah, so there is a different word in that, and I believe there is also one in German. Don't ask me in Irish, because everything was wrathful because the teachers were yelling at us to be quiet. But it's something to be mindful of. Look who's here. It is Matt G. Hello, Matt G. Thank you for being here at Miss Martin Muses. We're going to talk about wrath and a little bit of anger. Hello, and I understand that the bacon is not necessarily here today, and that is all right, since we are not in the morning. But we will be returning in the morning on April 1st. No joke. Ha ha ha. When we do Magician Apprentice. So if you have not read Magician Apprentice, now is a good time to do so, because Magician Apprentice and the Daughter of the Empire trilogy is about ready to be butchered. Not by Raymond Feist, rather. The books are by Raymond Feist, but the butchering is going to be done by idiots from the Lucasfilm group. Well, let's go ahead and let's talk about wrath. Steve, just, do you ever feel wrathful?
No. Usually I feel disgust, but not wrathful.
Yeah, that's different. See, that's what I'm thinking. You actually don't. Well, you don't have that as part of your DNA. Me, on the other hand.
Yeah, I don't even raise my voice that much, to be honest.
No.
I'm not a yeller.
No. I don't think I've ever heard you raise your voice.
No, there's no need. People can hear me just fine.
Me, on the other hand. What really ticks me off? Well, there's several things that really tick me off and tempt me to wrath. One of them is self-righteousness. Oh, I hate that. And that's what was making me wrathful today. Hate self-righteousness. But let's look at the definition of wrath. Yay! Now these definitions are from the dictionary, just the plain the dictionary. Wrath is extreme anger. So it's not like, oh, I'm angry at you, blah blah blah. And it is also connected with strong, vengeful. Okay, or wrath is rather strong, vengeful anger or indignation. And because usually the seven deadly sins are connected to an action, like an emotion or something to that effect is not necessarily bad in itself because it's part of what makes us human. And there are things that if they don't make you mad, then there's something wrong with you. If you're not angered by things, injustice, or if you see people, for example, harming a child, there's some things that you downright have every right to be angry about, and you should. It has to do with the inordinate and when you take it too far or extreme, and in this case, vengeance. Let's look. And this is from the Wikipedia, a little more detailed. Wrath can be defined as uncontrolled. See, that's another key. Uncontrolled feelings of anger, rage, and even hatred. Wrath often reveals itself in the wish to seek vengeance. In its purest form, wrath presents with injury, violence, and hate. So, uh, the idea, if you cannot control yourself, and usually when something becomes harmful to anybody, it has to do if you are not allowing your reason to temper your actions. And that was what will lead to anger, rage, and even hatred. And maybe at another time we'll go into the definition of what hatred is, because you can hate something, if you will, with a small h, and it's perfectly fine. But the capital H, that's a little different. So
Yeah, and
vengeance.
I think most people, if they've been seriously wronged, will consider, revenge. But usually, like you want to get them back later on somehow.
Mhm,
But usually, I find that uh, people will usually get their comeuppance anyway,
mhm.
simply by because the more they get away with something, the braver they get, and then eventually they're going to screw up royally. So basically, you just have to wait.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Eh, I have rarely seen that fail, to be honest. There is one example, something I cannot say because it's too detailed. But there was a situation several years ago in a place that I may or may not have been working at where there was a grave injustice. And I had a friend of Middle Eastern origin with his accent and all. He reminded me of Moses, like on Mount Sinai. And he said, just wait. God's justice will come upon them. And so help me. Call it karma, call it the results of your crap actions, as you were saying. 15 people, every single one of them. It went like dominoes, and no one did a thing. It was just their actions and them eventually getting their comeuppance.
That that's when you're supposed to rub it in.
Well, in this case, of course, I couldn't because of the nature of the situation. That I have been known to just enjoy the meme that says it's called karma and it's pronounced ha ha ha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Afternoon, evening, all. Hello, Archer Collin. Always good to see you here. Archer Collin, if wrath is not just a sin, but a deadly sin, why do we hear of the wrath of God? Well, I'm so glad you're here. We're going to talk about that. You are correct. That is a very good point. Dan Blackbird. Yes. The wrath of Khan. Khan is a perfect example of bad wrath, right?
Well, he had
Because,
a little bit of cause, didn't he?
yes, but you see, this is the difference between wrath and just vengeance. Because you can get justice and you can even do retributative, is that how you pronounce it? Justice. But when you take it to the vengeance to the extreme, and more importantly, what we said about uncontrolled, where you're not in control of your reason as you are doing so.
So basically, remain in complete control if you wish to take proper revenge. Is that's what you're saying?
I I am.
So it's okay then.
Yes and no. Because that uncontrolled, unreasonable thing is what will make you cross over into the line of sin. For example, murdering somebody, even if it's this person did a crap thing, you can't just go out and kill them. You have to let justice take its course.
No, the trick is to well, basically kill yourself and leave a suicide note and blame the person you want revenge on, even though the person didn't have anything to do with it. Just blame the person. Or even more fun, blame a random person, like the guy at the grocery store. Just name him. He's the one. That's why I killed myself. He drove me to suicide. And then put the name of the guy, and he works there.
The views of Steve Kenobi does not necessarily reflect the views or advice.
Yeah, it's Bert. Bert did it. The guy works at that grocery store. He's the one.
Holy
And all of them
crap.
come for Bert, and he's like, I don't even know the guy.
Yes. Hello, Chrisanne. Thank you for being here. This is Sunday Catechism. Do the opposite of what Steve says, please. Don't do that. Don't get an. Well, see, you're talking about getting an innocent person.
Yeah,
All right.
just pick a random one.
Archer Collins says, although come to think of it, I believe Wrath of God was the name of the Israel operation following the Munich Olympics massacre. Correct. And I think that's what I'm referring to, that the wrath of God or the vengeance of God, and what I said, what my friend said, God's justice will come upon them. The wrath of God is often in connection with the idea of God's justice. And it's used a lot in the Old Testament. Thomas Aquinas has a lot to say about it, and we're going to take a teeny look at it. And when I say a teeny look, because Thomas Aquinas will make your eyeballs roll back in your head. He is so technical. But you're getting there. You're getting there. Because technically God can't sin. God is justice. Well, Stig, remind Mother to make you angry, says Chrisanne. Well, we know what makes Stig angry.
Really?
It has to do with, I'll just say, Dawnguard or Dawnstar. Sorry.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, it does. Well, dragons in Skyrim, they annoy me.
Yes,
And
and
that
when
fucking courier.
yes, the courier, and me when he says just keep going straight, and there's a mine on the right, and I just go, no, there's just a boat.
Yeah, because you went left.
I went left. I did not go right. Hello, Zombie Box Reviews. He says hello, Miss Martin and Steve. I should put that underneath as a question. I always enjoy hearing these from the chat. What makes you wrathful, or maybe what makes you angry? Because we don't endorse wrath as the as a sin. Archer Collins says, well, as a good Englishman, I did do my archery practice today, even if I don't do mass. Well, that's fine. That's fine.
So basically, he shot one person, but not a mass shooting
oh,
with his arrows. That's what I'm taking from that.
that's not what he means. Mass is from the word misa, ita missa est.
Yeah, well,
But
that's not snobby. Carry on.
oh, it's Latin.
Thank you for letting us know.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, you heard it all here first. But yes, we endorse good Englishmen. You see, people, I don't think ever get wrathful because you guys are you're.
Oh, have you never heard of hooligans?
Oh, soccer hooligans, yes.
Yes, there's wrath in England, big time.
Yeah, Manchester United versus Manchester City or Liverpool. Oh my gosh.
Well, it's. I'd say back in the day, it was more the Leicester City fans, the West Ham fans, and the Millwall and Chelsea fans. I think the Millwall fans beat up piles of police officers back in the day.
Mm. Oh,
They
oh,
basically sent in the riot police, and the riot police got beaten up or something.
yeah. Oh no, it was terrible. You couldn't go to a football match.
Yeah.
Even today, I have a friend who lives in Buenos Aires, and I'm always like, "Oh, you going to the match?" She's like, "Are you kidding me? I'm watching on TV. She says, it's not safe to go to a match in Argentina."
No.
All right.
Mexico, they get really crazy in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
They beat up the referee and players, and yeah.
And as we all know, if you're from Colombia and in the World Cup, don't score an own goal.
Yeah, really bad idea.
Yeah. All right. Archer Collins says, Steve Kenobi, way back when I was a kid, there was a children's book or even series about a character called Steeg of the Dump. I never knew he was a Jedi.
I have seen the cover of this one, the book. It was sent to me by Christy, who was highly amused.
Oh, I bet she was. Yeah. Archer Collins says, I've never been a sports ball fan, but even I was aware of our football hooligans. There used to be jokes about us threatening to send them instead of the army. Hey, that would not actually be a bad idea. I remember Rush Limbaugh back in the day used to say, send a bunch of women with PMS.
Yeah,
And,
I actually, during World War II,
mhm.
when the Allies invaded Germany, they could
Uh-oh.
have won right away. They could have had female tank drivers, sent a couple of them into Berlin, and told them to do reverse parking, and that city would have been done within a day.
What makes you angry? Actually, that would probably make a lot of women angry, except for the fact that I think there might be some truth to
I
that.
don't
I
know.
don't know. That's terrible. If anyone can draw, please draw that meme. I think that'd be great. Oh no. Archer Collins says it could be even worse. He could be in the Iraqi World Cup team. Oh yeah, he's like, oh yeah, all right, yeah. Oh, look, great, yeah, great. We lost some viewers. Thank you, Steve. Nah, I love everyone coming in. By the way, hello everyone coming in and all my lurkers. Hello, Boom. We love our animals here at Miss Smart Muses. Yeah, Chrysantha's also a chick. She says he's right. Hey, women are terrible drivers. I will admit. I'm a good driver though. Present company, as always, accepted. What makes you angry? What makes you angry? Everyone, please let me know.
You know what
Let's
would
talk.
be really fun though, if it's the World Cup and Germany gets it through the semifinal by being really tactical, right?
Oh.
That would mean
Oh, don't,
Germany.
no, no, don't, no, 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 no. I know this joke. Please don't say it. I mean it.
Hmm, I'm not gonna say it then.
Yeah, because I always have to edit that out.
Hmm.
It, I'm. You already. You always make me laugh, and then I feel guilty.
Mm. Well, now everyone's wondering what it is.
Hello, Andy Masterson. Thank you. Welcome to Smart Muses. Yay! Archer Cohen says by no by beating Poland. No. All
No.
right. Well, let's talk about the opposite virtue. Patience. That's the opposite virtue, which I'm not entirely sure how that works. Unless it's like what you said about letting people's own actions have their natural consequences.
I think it has to do with the fact that if you're patient, you're not letting your emotions run away with you, so
Oh,
you don't fall for the wrath.
good point.
I,
Very
I
okay.
I I might be wrong. I don't know.
No, that sounds perfectly reasonable. I'll probably eventually do the seven virtues um, for that reason. Yeah. Okay. That's the opposite. Okay. Oh, this is from the Catechism now. Anger or wrath. You see, whoever translated the Catechism, I'm pointing my finger. You should be using wrath because anger is different from wrath. Wrath, rather, is a desire for revenge. To desire vengeance in order to do evil to someone who should be punished is illicit. And then this is where it comes from, where I'm saying it. Anger can be good, but it is praiseworthy to impose restitution, to correct vices and maintain justice. And if anger reaches the point of a deliberate desire to kill or seriously wound a neighbor, it is gravely against charity.
Yeah, just don't do it to neighbors. Do it to someone in another town.
Okay, in the catechism. Gosh, you're making me giggle. That's terrible. In the catechism, when they talk about neighbor, they mean like a fellow human. It doesn't mean just someone in your name.
No, neighbors specified.
Archer Collins said, I would have thought forgiveness or understanding would be the opposite. Yeah. That's true. I mean, and these aren't absolutes. These are suggestions. These are just things that people have written about and come up with. But I agree with you. I agree.
Actually, here's a solution. Since
Okay.
you can't do it to your neighbor, right? Then I can contact someone in another town and have him deal with my neighbor and I'll deal with his. See? Problem solved.
But the neighbor is another way of saying your fellow man. Well, okay, I've already said it, and you've already come back with an answer. So, oh, Archer Cullen, neighbors doesn't refer to an Australian soap opera.
Kylie Minogue was on that one.
Yes, Kylie Minogue's a legend.
No.
So was the dude from Attack of the Clones, the one who played Uncle Owen. He was in that.
Oh, all of the Aussies have ever have been on either Neighbours, Water Rats, or a Country Practice, or
Mm,
Home and Away. It's one of those. They've all been on those.
mm, okay.
Yeah.
There was. I think you're absolutely correct. I honestly don't think I can think of an actor like that. Archer Collins says there was a film about that, Strangers on a Train. Hmm. Well, if so, I might be interested in seeing it. Oh, Dan. Oh, an Aussie is chiming in. Blue Healers as well.
Yes, I've seen Blue Healers. Yeah. This is kind of weird, but a heck of a lot of Aussie shows were shown on Norwegian television. All of the ones I mentioned, and I think Home and Away is still ongoing.
I was about to
Well,
say Home and Away. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the actresses on it, I think, is in the Guinness Book of Records because she's been in the most consecutive TV seasons or something, or on the same show for so many years. I think it's over 20 years in her case.
Hmm. Neighbors and Home and Away, says Dan Blackred, are an institution. They are. Hmm. Jason Donovan, quite a few musical acts. Kylie Minogue. Hmm. So there you have it. This discussion on wrath and justice and vengeance and even waiting for vengeance to happen brings to mind Murder on the Orient Express, because the premise of it is they did go for justice, and because of the Chicago mafia machine and corruption, the person was let go. If you haven't seen Murder on the Orient, or read it, read it. If you haven't read or Murder on the Orient Express, or if you want to watch Murder on the Orient Express, the one with Albert Finney in the 70s was good, and of course the one by the the incomparable David Suchet. See those. I don't want to give away the ending, but I think it is a very, very good meditation on wrath and justice. Archer Collins
Yeah,
says, "Can't." Oh, sorry.
they took a good stab at it, and it
Oh,
worked.
yeah. The Kenneth Branagh one was tolerable, but not as good. Archer Collins can't recall the film, but I'm sure that was the basic idea. Two strangers meet and agree to kill each other's spouse. Ooh, there was a Death in Paradise episode along the same lines. Wow. And remember, whenever we see the word grave or gravely or something against charity, that's an issue. Here we go. This is also the Catechism 2303. Deliberate hatred is contrary to charity. Hatred of a neighbor is a sin when one deliberately wishes him evil. This is connected with wrath. Hatred of the neighbor is a grave sin when one deliberately desires him grave harm. This is right after the previous one was 2302.
Well,
This
here's the thing though. What if the neighbor's a pedophile?
wow.
Are you not allowed to wish harm on someone like that?
This is where it gets difficult, because it's to deliberately wish evil to come upon him or to desire to give him grave harm, and to is technically, that is not good because it's bad for your soul. However,
Yeah,
if
because
you wish,
it's negative energy.
mhm, yeah, but if you wish with a strong desire for justice to come upon this person, and as long as you don't do it to a point where you lose your reason, that is different. Or even Schadenfreude. Oh, Dan Blackwright. I didn't believe they made some of the movies again in that Bravo TV show. They actually did every single thing, including the short stories, with one or two exceptions. I think they only didn't do like three. It was an amazing body of work. If you haven't seen them, watch all of them. I gotta go. I gotta get to the later Simpsons. Yes, you do. Archer Collins says I was never a soap fan. Okay, they're talking about the soap. So, oh dear. Zombie Box Review says had to pause the stream as I had stuff to do, so I'm going to add Ryan Roger Athey's name to my suicide note because he took too long to respond to my Twitter DM. Oh my gosh, no. No, we do not endorse that. However,
He's supposed to reply immediately and to the point. Zombie, he has the right of it.
no. No, I have known some people to lose it. The vast majority of the time, it's either sometimes you'll click on it and you're on your way doing something, you're going to get back to it later, but
Yeah,
So
I've had people get pissed at me for not replying at 4 a.m. my time. It's
yeah,
a thing.
it's like, well, look at the clock. Archer Khan says, I'm not sure any of this counts, said because words ain't spelled correctly. Dan Blackbird says, I don't like how they killed my ancestor, Roger Ackroyd. Too scary. Archer Collins says, I'm not religious, and even I know that Twitter is a creation of the devil. Yes. Well, a lot of these are universal. These are universal. And the word, yes, I like that. I like that a lot, Archer Collins. Oh, dear. You asked for it, you're going to get it. We're going to the Summa Theologica by St. Thomas Aquinas. Now, it's about 500,000 million volumes, but thank goodness we have the internet. This is him talking about wrath and anger specifically. At first he's talking about anger. It is a passion, not a sin. So anger is just like anything else. It's not a sin to be angry. But then he continues, its sinfulness depends on whether the object of our anger and the mode or amount of anger are according to right reason. So again, that goes with reason. You can tell when someone's gone beyond anger and into the realm of beyond reason. It's when I say that someone is frothing at the mouth, and it's like they're just crazy, and they will and do things rashly that are messed up. Okay, they're talking about Agatha Christie. Yes, please do. Please do. Find a head in a box and then become wrath. All right. So, and this goes on with Thomas Aquinas. The movement of anger should not be immoderately fierce, nor neither internally nor externally. And if this condition be disregarded, anger will not lack sin, even though just vengeance be desired. Okay, so what they're talking about is when it makes you lose your reason internally or externally. Just vengeance. This St. Thomas Aquinas explains that with the wrath of God. And then he explains the movement of anger may be inordinate and sinful, and I would say moving into wrath in two ways, as stated above. First, on the part of the appetible object, as when one desires unjust revenge. And thus, anger is a mortal sin in the point of its genus because it is contrary to purity and justice. So that's another thing, unjust revenge. We've seen that. Well, okay, no, we're not going to talk about that. I'm scrapping that. But I think we all in our lives have seen that, and it's really ugly to behold. That and it's also really creepy when unjust revenge, and it's also unjust when someone is innocent as well. I've seen wrath being used in
Yeah,
accordance with that.
it's basically some idiot blaming someone else for their own mistakes.
Hmm. And then it goes into wrath because they dwell on it, and again, they get you to lose your reason. Okay. And then he gives an example. The movement of anger may be inordinate, I would say, and therefore wrathful in the mode of being angry. For instance, if one be too fiercely angry inwardly, or if one exceed in the outward signs of anger. So this is just another way of saying what we've been saying. On this way, anger is not a mortal sin in the point of its genus, yet it may happen to be a mortal sin. For instance, if through the fierceness of his anger, a man fall away from the love of God and his neighbor. And don't, Stig, neighbor means all other people. It doesn't just mean the person living next door to you.
Well, that just made it boring, didn't it?
My gosh. Now, Thomas Aquinas does talk about the wrath of God, Archer Collins, and I guess I did not add that to my notes. But when we talk about the wrath of God, it's uh, justice. But let me just Google this wrath of God and make sure to spell it right so the wrath of Khan doesn't come back. It says divine retribution is the wrath of God is a supernatural punishment of a person, a group of people, or everyone by a deity in response to some action. Many cultures have a story about how a deity exacted punishment upon previous inhabitants of their land, calling their doom. What is meant by the wrath of God? God's wrath is not a reckless rage or an uncontrollable rage, a senseless fury, or an unjust vengeance. So it doesn't have any of those. The wrath of God is a precise and controlled response to the belittling of his holiness, and everyone who perishes under the wrath of God will not be because God lost his temper and mistreated them. Understand that I don't necessarily endorse that. I'm just reading this from a definition because I looked at the website. I'm not entirely sure about what that person just said, which is probably the danger of just looking up something because he's a little bit wrong in the fact that when you're dealing with the wrath of God, the person leaves out the wrath of God like coming upon the neighbor, which is very important. A Zombie Vox review says, reminds me of that vengeance speech scene in Pulp Fiction. Oh, are you familiar with that, Steve?
Yeah, but he's actually not quoting the Bible in it, though.
Oh,
He,
probably not. He's just saying it reminds him.
yeah, he basically claims it's from the Bible, but it actually isn't. But
Oh,
yeah, it's Samuel Jackson yapping about vengeance before he
okay.
shoots people.
Oh, well, I need to.
You haven't seen uh, Pulp Fiction?
I've not seen it in a very, very long time. And I don't want to quote it because I don't even know now that if I've seen it in its entirety.
Hmm. That's a
Huh.
fairly good movie.
Yeah. Okay, well, here's some scriptures. Okay, when in doubt, just go straight to a source. It says, do not take revenge, my friends, but leave room for God's wrath, for it is written, it is mine to avenge, I will repay, saith the Lord. And then it says, for God did not appoint us to suffer wrath, but to receive okay, that's salvation. Yeah, and it says God's wrath is his passion to set things right. God's wrath is not like our anger or wrath. So okay, it's in connection with justice. Discount Dracula. Hello, listening to us while at work. Good stuff. Well, thank you. Dan Blackbride says, and I will strike down thee with great vengeance and furious anger. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a quote from Pulp Fiction.
And he shoots the guy in the wheelchair. Okay, well, I am soundly rebuked because now that I'm thinking about it, I just really need to sit and properly watch or rewatch Pulp Fiction because it came out, what, 93? So it's been a very, very, very long time. My goodness. Yeah. Good points about the wrath of God, though. I will bring those the next time, but I believe I am correct. Now, what to do about anger? What do you do about anger and how do you stop it from becoming wrath? I cited my source. This is an Australian one, Outreach Out articles. 8 ways to deal with anger. First of all, recognize the warning signs. I'm not sure I have warning signs because Stieg, I think I go from 0 to 1,000 very quickly. I have really fierce anger. I don't know. I guess I recognize the warning signs after they happen. Does that make sense?
I don't
Um,
know.
yeah. Well, I have triggers, and I triggers has gotten a bad name because people get triggered by things they shouldn't get triggered. But you know, I see a trigger as something that makes you go from like 0 to 1,000. And I think everyone personally has their own personal trigger. Like the one today, someone was being on Twitter unjustly, or he was feigning righteousness while being
A
completely being a
twat?
jerk. Sorry?
A twat?
Well, yes, he was being a twat. Yes. But he was doing it under the cloak of righteousness.
Oh
You
yeah,
know what I'm talking about?
that's usually how Twitter works.
Yeah. And it's like I'm showing how virtuous I am, but he was also doing so. The best context I can say is it's like a man who's been divorced 5 times and claiming that he knows how best to have a lasting marriage. It and it's just like, dude, hey, no judgment on you for any choices you've made in your life, but don't sit there and say that you're morally superior and know more about how to live a good be a he was talking about being a good leader of the family, and I'm just like, which family? Who you've left behind? It was something similar to that. And it just really made me mad. And it especially makes me mad then when they call like on the name of Jesus. You know, it's like we need to be like Jesus. You know, you all need to be like Jesus. It's like, how about you be like Jesus? It's a hypocrisy. Is that that's hypocrisy too, isn't it? Like when you're preaching actions and saying that you're moral superior when you're
Oh, basically telling others to do stuff you don't do yourself.
yeah,
Yeah, that
but yet at
happens.
this yeah, but at the same time saying that you're doing it better than everyone else, even though your actions, and like I said, it's the equivalent of, like I said, this was not a person that was divorced 5 times, but it was like that was the analogy I was using. Or it's like when people say, you know, don't be mean, and then they're being mean. That's a trigger for me when they cloak it, especially when they cloak it in religious righteousness. Because for one thing, if you are a Christian, you're not supposed to brag about your acts or your works. You, even if you do a good deed, you're not supposed to talk about it. You're not supposed to let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. So if you try to brag about your good works, and in doing so, put down others, it's just that just makes me nuts. Also, what's the trigger? Well, I think a trigger for me, of course, is anyone that hurts a child, obviously. Archer Collins says, is that the same section which mentions returning insults threefold? I think, are you talking about Pulp Fiction there? Dan Blackberry, don't look in the box. John Doe has the upper hand here. Okay. Zombie Box Reviews is saying, take some Xanax, lol. Chrysan says, I have a long fuse, but it's a big boom. Yeah. When I boom, I boom. Zombie Box Review says, I'm slow to anger. When I do, I lose it. I exploded like a volcano. Luckily, I can calm down very quickly. I cannot. When I blow up, and I blow up big. Yeah, there was a situation earlier in the week that made me blow up, but I'm not going to mention it. But I, I'll just say something in general. I don't like it when people try to sabotage others in their success. It's like, listen, stop it. Or try to sabotage like a good time just because they think it's funny. It's like, no, it's not funny. You're not being funny. Stieg, I won't put you on the spot, but I'm going to do it a little bit. Is there anything in particular that you would like to share? That is one of your triggers. You don't have to.
No, not really. Uh, I
Yeah.
don't really get triggered. I'll get
Hmm.
annoyed and disgusted maybe, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. When I mean like a trigger, meaning something that will make you go from 0 to 100, something that just will immediately make you mad. But
No, not really.
yeah, you're too stoic for that. I think it's in your genetics.
I don't know. I don't think I have 100.
That's true. Archer Collins says, "Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord." Then something about returning bad vibes threefold, if I remember. Okay, that might be from the Old Testament, I believe. I
Actually,
don't.
the threefold stuff is also from the Wiccan fate,
Ah,
because everything you do, good or bad, will come back at you threefold eventually.
hmm,
Which is why
okay.
they don't tend to mess with dark magic or whatever you want to call it, right? Because it's going to bite them in the ass threefold. That's the rule.
Oh,
So if you see some idiot claiming to be like a Wiccan or something casting bad spells at people, he's not a Wiccan, because that would be rather retarded, wouldn't it? He's basically hitting himself threefold, right?
hmm. Oh, well, I'm not familiar with that, but I'll take that at
Yeah,
your word. That
yeah,
that sounds consistent with what I know about it.
yeah. It is a thing.
All right. Well, I'm looking it up here. Yeah. Well, and in connection with that, to answer the question, there are several verses about vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. There's one, I was correct. It's Deuteronomy 32:35, and that might be where it says the threefold thing. It is mine to avenge. I will repay. In due time, their foot will slip. Their day of disaster is near, and their doom rushes upon them. To me belongeth vengeance and recompense. Yeah, I actually, I personally am not seeing the threefold. If you have the Bible verse, please let me know, because there's another one, the one that I'm more familiar with, because I'm more familiar with the New Testament, because I am, yeah, as a Christian. I just focus a little more on that. There's Romans 12:19, which is the one that came to mind for me. It says, "Avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath, for it is written, Vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. Therefore, if you see your enemy in hunger, feed him. If he thirsts, give him to drink. For in doing so, you shall heap coals of hot iron upon their head." Yeah, that's one of my favorite one. So the New Testament one, then Romans says, actually do good deeds to the person. All right. Archer Collins says, yeah, three is a significant number in several religions. The Holy Trinity, Maiden, Mother, Crone, even knocking three times, pointing to the audience, points to the audience if you can name that song. Yes, good points. All. Yeah, three. What is it? Three's a number, so is seven, so is 12, right? I think 12 is one.
Three is big in Norse mythology,
Hmm,
but I can't remember why. You know,
okay, nice. Wow. They're talking about vengeance is mine. There's 65 Bible verses. Yeah. I'm going to look into that. Maybe we'll talk about vengeance is mine. But I think this all circles back to what we were saying at the beginning of the stream, is that ultimately you've got to let someone else do it for you. And usually it's just letting someone's own actions reap what they deserve. The whole that you will reap what you sow. I have very rarely seen a situation where that does not happen. Work out why you're angry. You see, that's a little bit what I was doing today. It's like, why do self righteous people, especially when they use like Jesus and I know they're being so disingenuous and trying to gaslight, why does that make me personally so angry? As opposed to other kinds of virtue signaling. And I guess it makes me angry because I think it's very manipulative and something that I would never do. I don't know. It just seems like almost a form of blasphemy when people use their hypocrisy and try to cloak it in righteousness. And I guess not even with my religion, but any religion, even as you were saying, Stieg, the Wiccan or something, if they try to use that as an excuse or a cloak for bad behavior.
Yeah, yeah. It's usually well, any religion is usually well, not usually, but often used as a shield, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm a really good person. I gave money at the church.
Yeah. Or one I've heard is, well, you can't be angry with me because I did this bad thing because Jesus forgave me. And so they try to make it sound like you're the jerk for being mad.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. Yeah, that's probably why I'm angry. Yeah, but you're right. Yeah, self righteousness. So work out why you're angry. I just worked out a little bit why that made me angry, and also reminds me never, every time I look on my timeline, I live to regret it. Um, and how do you work it out? Write it down. But be careful how you write it down. Whenever I suggest people write down their anger, why they need to work through something, write it down on a scrap piece of paper, then tear it up. Don't write it down on Twitter and post it for everyone to see. Don't write it down on an
And
email and send it to everyone in your company. You know what I mean?
also, for the love of God, don't make a YouTube video about why
Yes.
you're angry at this and that person.
Please don't. Yes. It never ends well. And even if you're right, you're wrong. Yes. Listen to Steve, you listen. Count to 100. I think that this is just a tip because I think by the time you count to 100, it refocuses you, and some of that emotion or that initial adrenaline, I suppose, will die off. I've been known to, I don't personally use something like counting to 100, but I will use like deep breathing. And I'll also maybe pray a rosary because it takes about 15 minutes. Is very, there's a rhythm to it. And I'm holding it. So I'm sitting there with the beads. And sometimes you'll see people white knuckling the beads. That's the thing. Or I'll crochet. That's another thing. It's like I don't want it to turn into me doing an action that is not using my right reason. Archer Collins, piggybacking on what you said, Steve, yeah, that's one thing that instant communication has made dangerous. It used to be that you had to actually write something down, address an envelope, go to a post office, and post it off. Mm-hmm.
Well, here's the thing, though. Back in the day, if
Yeah.
you read someone's diary, they would lose their shit on you, and rightfully so. Today, with all the blogs and TikTok and YouTube videos and what have you, if you don't watch their diary, they'll get pissed at you, right? Because they put the diary in a YouTube video, don't they? And then if you don't
Yeah,
watch it and like it, you're a bad person.
absolutely. They used to have locks on it. I had one of those little girly diaries with a little key where you locked it so that no one could read it.
Yeah,
That's insane.
yeah, it's flipped because
Yeah.
well, narcissism, isn't it?
Yeah. How dare
They
you not?
basically, well, they basically demand that their friends should be completely interested in reading their diary
Yeah.
and listening to their nonsense
Yeah.
as if they don't have anything else to do.
Yeah. Yeah. How dare you not read my deepest, darkest, intimate
Yeah.
thoughts?
Why didn't you like my selfie?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And more often than not, I didn't see it. I just got done telling you that I don't like to look on my timeline. That's been one of my New Year's resolutions, which I've slipped on because I'll run across someone that'll piss me off. This along the same lines, what you were saying, Archer Collin, is press pause because, yeah, if you have to do what you just said, you have so many opportunities to decide not to send the letter or to rip it up. The press pause something was something I got advice about way back when in my teaching career because we had email almost from the beginning of my career where email was regular, and we would be told, do not, under any circumstance, if you get one of those parent emails saying how you're the worst person that ever lived and my son or my daughter said you did this, and then they just go off on you, and it would happen, don't answer it. Do not answer it. Just go home and don't look at your email. Calm down, and then the next morning find a friend you trust to help you write the answer back. But never write an email when you're angry at work, and I would say also in real life. And don't do a DM also in anger. Press pause.
And don't be drunk on social media.
No, never. Never. We used to call it drunk dialing back when we only had telephones, but yes.
Yeah.
Even, oh, I've seen this go bad so many times. Because alcohol removes your inhibitions.
Yeah.
Move your body. This is a good one. Move your body, meaning go do some exercise. I have found that that helps me with my wrath, and I have a greater tendency to have my temper be even sharper than it already is when I haven't been able to exercise. Yeah. Go for a walk, jump up and down, go to Pilates. I had to miss my
Yeah.
Pilates this week. Yeah.
Just take a hike. Go outside.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Get on your bicycle. Crescent says that is why the last thing I fill out in an email is who it is going to. It's to make sure I never accidentally respond. That's a good one. Yes. Because you can sometimes write it and it's like, I'm not going to send it. And then, oops. Good point. See, at Miss Martin Muses, the chat and everyone has great advice for living. Zombie Box Review says, I stopped looking at the comments for my videos. I just know that someone has posted a stupid comment that's going to tick me off. Yes. And often they do that just because they want to mess with you or hurt your self-confidence. Yeah. Move your body. Talk to someone. Oh, yes, I'm guilty of that. Yeah, it's the venting, right? Just be careful about who to whom you vent. Make sure it's someone you can trust.
Oh yeah. Don't put anything in DMs, even if it's someone's, supporting your channel, because odds are in a few years they will not be. They'll be pissed at you for some reason or jealous or whatever it is, and then they'll share screenshots with everyone. And keep in mind, people also record phone calls.
Mm-hmm.
They do.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but true. Yeah, don't write anything down. And well, and also you never know if someone's going to hack. I'm thinking more about things that can happen with um, iPhone. Because remember how, because of the subpoenas or something with some of the January 6th stuff, people's texts had to be released. So you just never know. Yeah. Always be cautious about the words you use. I forgot about things being recorded. Well, I think it's okay to say this because he's a public figure. Steve Crowder did that um, on the Daily Wire things, and I just remember thinking, dude, and he posted it. Even if his point was good, the second he posted that, I was like, okay, well, how do you know? Because at that time they thought they were. He thought both sides thought they were. Well, one side thought they were friends. What would so that means if they'll do that to one friend or former friend, doesn't that mean they'll do it to you? Good news is I'm not in any danger of Steve Crowder ever giving a crap about me, but the point still stands. Archer Khan, indeed, look at how many people have gotten into trouble because of something they said or posted or wrote years or even decades ago. Correct. And they will. They will go back and they will dig and find everything. Discount Dracula says, anger in itself isn't a bad thing. Being able to vent out when things happen out of your control can help you in accepting that. When you direct it at the wrong targets is when there's a problem. Precisely. I have some trusted girlfriends. We have like girls' night every week. And yeah, it's a bunch of women going yak, 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 yak. And it makes us feel good. I make sure it's people you trust. And because, yeah, it can help you. In worst case scenario, and when I say worst, I mean in a sense, if there is an extreme situation, I do recommend counseling. You just have to make sure that your counselor is a good counselor. Like there, it is perfectly acceptable to shop for your counselor.
Oh, I did that once, and the counselor said that time heals all wounds. So I stabbed him and watched. It didn't work. It didn't heal at all. The guy was full of shit.
The views, expressions, and words of Steve Kenobi do not necessarily reflect that of Miss Martin Muses. Take time to relax. Yes. Take time for you. Whether it's, how do I phrase this? When you take time for you, also make sure that what you're doing is something you truly want to do. Sometimes people will be like, take time to relax. Come to this party. That may not be something you want to do. Take time to relax for something you know will make you happy. And for me, it's usually having people leave me alone. But not so full of blood after a few minutes, says Archer Khan. My gosh. Chris Ann says, Steve, you just made me choke on my water. Dang. I think this
Well,
is the last one. Yeah, it is. Oh, look. Oh, that's from my review of Ted Lasso. Watch it. Well, watching a comedy, that's something that always helps me. I I think that shows like Friends still makes me laugh. Sorry, I know some people don't like that. Stieg has one of your
hello,
favorites is
hello.
Allo Allo. I was going to say you love Allo Allo.
Yeah, and South Park.
Mm-hmm,
Archer is good.
mm-hmm. Oh
Um,
yeah,
I don't
I
know.
like Brooklyn
Oh,
99.
Eastbound and Down. That's an excellent one.
And as far as movies go, Rat Race never fails. I hurt laughing watching that movie. So there you have it. I'm gonna have to start winding this down. I'm gonna be on a stream in 20 minutes with Nina Infinity. We're gonna be talking about season 4 of Yellowstone. So, Steve, is there any conclusions, thoughts that you want to say, but preferably ones that won't have my channel instantly canceled?
Mm, no.
Hmm. Oh, Archer Colin, I thought this at first. Archer is good. Why, thank you, sir. Oh, you mean the cartoon show?
Well, you're not too bad as well.
Yeah. Aw, teddy bear. Well, please do tune into some of my videos. My what is it? Irish fairies and what to do about them. I was very pleased with a lot of the comments I'm getting and a lot of the views. I think that people enjoyed it. If you don't know a lot about Irish fairies and what to do about them, this will help you. And lore is very close to my heart. I'm going to be doing more lore videos. My next is going to be Beauty and the Beast. Getting that ready. Also, some solfege to get to interpret what really happened at the end of Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Team America says zombie box reviews. Okay, I'm not familiar. So I want to put into the chat though the link so that you, if you are interested, if you have seen Yellowstone, this will be spoilers. So let me see.
Imagine if that one was filmed in Norway, it'd be yellow snow, wouldn't it?
Oh my gosh, Steve. No, you're right, because right now you still have snow. Here, I'm going to put it in here. And tell them that Teresa sent them. Sent you, rather. I've been enjoying Yellowstone. It's probably for me the best performance I've seen. Uh, the lead star, whose name just went right out of my brain cells, Kevin Costner. Kevin Costner. Archer Collins says, I know enough to refer to the as the lords and ladies, or is that just Discworld? Oh, I am not entirely for it.
This was Terry Pratchett.
Oh, okay. Gosh darn it. I'm ignorant. Okay, yeah, and largely inspired by Jerry Anderson's puppet shows, such as Thunderbirds. Oh, okay. I cannot know. Oh, fairies, says Archer Collins. Oh, yes. We love fairies here at Miss Smart Muses. Well, but we don't want to make them angry. Yeah, what makes fairies angry? Everything. All right, I do need to end. Well, thank you, Steek, for joining me as usual. Thank you also to those in the chat. We had Archer Collins, Zombie Box Reviews, Chris Sant, Discount Dracula. We had Dan Blackroyd. And if I missed anyone, it is not intentional. I appreciate everyone. And please be certain to not be wrathful.